Alright, let me just switch this off. Nothing. Now we need some really nice whole garam masalas. So I have some cardamom, I have cinnamon, I have got some cloves, I've got fennel seeds, garlic, onions, ginger garlic paste. With the ginger garlic paste, it's very important that you have the right ratio. I use a 60-40, which is 60% of ginger and 40% of garlic. Alright, some red chili powder, I've got some turmeric, I've got tomatoes, curry leaves, and then some split green chilies, coriander, and the most important thing is the black pepper. The duck pepper roast is not complete without this. Now, the thing with the black pepper, make sure that you actually, grind only as much as you need. Do not grind and keep it. Most people would just buy black pepper and they would grind it and then they would leave it. It loses flavors. Just use as much that you'll require. Pound it instead of putting it in a mixie. If you can actually pound it, in a mortar and pestle or on a stone thing, helps retain the flavor. So this is one of the most important dish, and a lot of it is going to go into this dish, as you see. So let's start cooking this dish. All right. I've got the duck cut, I've got the legs cut, and I've got all my spices. Now over here, what I've done is I've cut some duck fat itself. All right. As we said earlier, you could use the fat which is there in the skin actually. All right. So you just have to add a little bit of water to it on very slow heat so that you don't waste any of your trimmings, and just let it be there. The fat will render. Start adding your whole spices. I'm going to start adding a couple of cardamom, right? Cinnamon, 2-3 sticks would be more than enough to just suffice. 4 or 5 pieces of cloves, alright? Let this actually, as you see, the spices, let them really give out this flavor really slowly. Now with these spices, I used to see the whole spices inside. It's very important that you give it time at very low heat, okay? The whole spices like cinnamon and the cardamom, they have oil-soluble flavors, which basically means that when you put them in oil, you need to give them some time, so that they release the essential oils. And only that's when the flavors are. Imagine if you're just going to put it in very hot oil, the flavors are going to, the essential oils which are actually there in all those spices are just going to burn off, alright? So really slow heat, give it some time, and you will just see it starts bubbling in. And the moment you see it bubbling, alright, just give it a little bit of a stir, and you're almost, the flavors are getting released. It gives out a beautiful aroma, alright? You can really smell the spices, okay? Go with a little bit of fennel, just about a teaspoon, alright? Fennel again gives a very distinctive flavor, alright? But again, when you're adding fennel, make sure that the heat is really low, because fennel will burn in no time, alright? Let it not really be on very high heat, because with the cooking. So again, let the fennel just pop, let it give it essential oils, let that flavor come out. And that's when, your flavor is going to be, your dish is going to be really aromatic. Now, I will go ahead with my garlic. The garlic, I've just taken fresh garlic, just going to add a little bit of garlic there. Very important. Again with garlic, the same thing. Don't peel it, don't chop it and keep it whole, and only when you need it, you chop as much, alright? So as you see, the garlic is just cooking really well, okay? When it starts just slightly getting colored, you start to add the onions. I'm going to add the onions. I'll share the recipe with you, so there's nothing to worry. I think thing. I'm going to use half of this. I guess that should be enough. Now you see, with Indian cuisine, it's very important that you give time to dishes. Indian cuisine cannot be hurried up, alright? It takes its time, alright? You have to brown your onions. You have to, brown your garlic. It has to become golden brown. Your onions have to become golden brown. Those are the essence of Indian cuisine. And if you don't do it, you're not going to get that zing that you're looking at, alright? And for many people, it will take years for them to understand, what a particular spice does or what a particular flavor that a spice actually adds into it. Now, as you see, we are just stirring it around. There's a beautiful aroma that's being given out with the whole spices. So, just to add to few secrets of chefs, alright? As I told you, pepper, always do it last minute, alright? And just do as much as you require. Don't make a truckload of it, keep it there, keep it open, keep your spices closed. That's another secret, alright? If you keep your spices open, you're going to dry out. The essential oils which are there in the spices are just going to go off, alright? So that's another important thing. Garlic, as I told you, peel as much as you require, chop as much as you require, and just don't, peel it. Don't use peeled garlic, alright? As you see, it's lightly becoming golden brown, alright? Keep stirring it. Another important technique which I'm going to tell you, season as you cook. Basically means add salt at every stage of cooking. What salt does? Salt actually, has a capacity of actually removing the moisture, from whatever you add it into. All right. So when you're actually going to put salt here, it's going to, get all the moisture out, all right, from the onions, and that's what this is going to do. Okay. So we're just going to let this, we'll give this about anywhere between 8 and 10, not 8, 6 to 8 minutes till it becomes really nice and golden brown. Alright? Yeah. As you see, what's happened is it's just about ready. Okay? You see the onions have kind of just become golden brown in color, just still a little bit more. Alright? Now, with today's dish, what I'm doing is, once we make the pepper roast, we'll be dividing into two. So the breast meat, we'll be making a kind of a hot pie with it, giving it a western kind of a touch to it with an Indian dish. And the legs, I'll be using it for probably making a tacos. Tacos are again from Mexico. So yes, we'll make an Indian version of a duck tacos. Okay. So as you see, this is just about ready. Nice and golden brown. So this particular dish, as you see, has a lot of uses. You could just shred that meat and use it on a crostini. All right. If you're just left over with something, next day you can actually make even something like those patti samosas. Why not make a duck kachori? So you could do anything with it. you're left with that meat, add a little bit of lettuce, add a little bit of tomatoes, make a nice sandwich. So it's not going to go waste, all right? So at this stage, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my ginger garlic paste. Okay, ginger garlic paste. Again, I've made the ratios, a couple of spoons of it. Make sure that the ginger garlic paste, give it some time. Okay. When you add ginger garlic paste, again, make sure you saute it well. Otherwise, the flavor of raw ginger and the garlic is going to be there. So just saute that just a bit. Okay. Add your curry leaves. You can add as much. I really love the flavor of curry leaves. I'm just going to be a little generous there. The moment you add curry leaves, it starts giving you that typical South Indian flavor. So your ginger garlic paste is cooked. Now I'm going to add the tomatoes into this. Okay, let's go ahead with this. No problem. When you add tomatoes, again the secret, add a little bit of salt. Season as you go. Okay? I like to add that, this duck actually comes frozen to us all the way from the US. The Department of Agriculture, which is the USDA, actually governs what feed goes to the bird, how these birds are actually kept. Every step of the bird's life is actually been, it's been mapped, it's been evaluated. And it's been monitored. Every step has been monitored. Okay. I had been to Atlanta last year and happened to visit a couple of these farms where duck, where chicken were actually being raised. I must say they use some serious amount of technology, serious amount of science that actually goes into raising these birds. And each of these steps, right from the moment they actually hatch, are governed by the USDA. The processes have been defined very clearly, and you have to, to fall under the Poultry Association, you have to actually follow these steps. So once these birds are actually processed, once they are taken to the processing unit, they are slaughtered, they are packed at site, okay, and they're frozen at site itself, so that nothing is lost. So you would just see that it's a kind of a conveyor system that they use, and what this does is basically it helps retain the flavors, it helps keep all the moisture intact of the bird, and they're frozen to -18. And once they're frozen to -18, they're shipped to across, to every place around the globe, and that's how you would receive it here. So once you receive that, there are specific ways of thawing it, specific ways of actually bringing the bird back. What I would suggest is take the bird once it's frozen at -18. It comes in a beautiful backpack, remove it from the bag and leave it in a kind of a tray, on a perforated tray probably, if it's available, in the refrigerator for about 24 hours. That's the best way to actually thaw it. Or you could even just leave it in the bag itself that it comes. Okay, the choices are yours. But if you really want it in hurry, yes, you could put it in, immerse it in cold water, but do not remove the cover off. Keep the cover off, and it should, thaw in about 2 hours time. It should come to room temperature. What you could also do is, because they come frozen, you could only use as much as you require. All right, you don't need to process the whole bird. You don't need to use the entire bird. You can use only as much as you want, and then keep it again for a different use another day. At this stage, when you know your tomatoes are just about cooked, I'm going to add my turmeric, a little bit of chili powder. Again, with turmeric and chili powder, make sure that you add them when the oil is just coming out, because again, then if you don't cook them enough, they're going to give that raw chili flavor and that raw turmeric flavor. And at the same time, make sure that your pan is not very, very hot, because if it's too hot, you're going to kind of burn the chili and the thing. At this stage, I'm going to add my coriander powder. As you see, it's giving out a fantastic aroma. Yeah. At this stage, I'm going to add my duck legs into it. Okay. You would ask me why duck legs? See, the leg of a duck is, it has a lot of connective tissues. It has a lot of muscles. So it takes a little bit of time, a little bit more extra time than the actual breast to cook. So and because of the use also that we're going to do, we're going to be using the leg meat for tacos, right? So it's very important that you give it some extra time. That typical black color, which is very typical to the pepper fry, is from the black pepper. But again, with the black pepper, we're going to add it at the wing and at the absolute end, just before we finish off, and that's going to give not just the spiciness, but also that fantastic aroma. Black pepper cooked for a long time, it's going to lose all the flavors, right? So that's what you need to be adding, that absolutely at the end. And as you see here, what's happening is, the flavors are getting together. I'm going to add a little bit more of salt here. Season as you cook. I would cover this and cook it for, for about 10-12 minutes before I actually add my breast meat into it. Right? So let that keep cooking. Alright, now as you see, we've just let the duck legs cook for some time, and you see it's just about 30% cooked. It still needs a lot of time. At this stage, I'm going to add my breast meat. Give it a nice stir. Okay. A little bit of seasoning again. Season as you go. Alright. At this stage, you would also add a couple of green chilies right there. If you really like it hot, you can add much more into it. Yeah. These are really spicy, so a couple of them will just be enough. What we're going to do now is add a little bit of water. going to cover this and cook this for about 30 minutes, alright, till the meat almost falls off the bone. Now, just to tell you, duck meat is considered red meat. Okay, though it's a poultry, it's a bird, it's a red meat. Alright. So yes, when you're doing Western cooking, you can cook it to different donenesses. Okay. You can serve it medium. Alright, it has to reach an internal temperature of 165 degrees Fahrenheit, and then you're good to go. You can actually ask your guest what doneness you want and then serve it accordingly. Let me also tell you something really very important. When you see a lot of fat, you actually think that duck meat is not very healthy because the amount of fat that is actually there, but it's actually not true. The fat is actually only on the skin of the bird, alright? The meat is extremely lean, alright, and it could actually be a part of any of your health diets, or if you're in any sort of a diet or anything of that sort, you could actually incorporate duck meat into your diet. You could make salads out of it, or you could just even boil it to an extent, shred it, use it in congee, use it in different preparations. So just to give you an example, 100 grams of lean duck meat has just about 0.5 grams of saturated fat and just about 2 grams of actual fat. So you see, when compared to other meats, it's actually much more healthier. Another important thing about duck is it's very high in selenium, which is again very important for body growth. It's very high in antioxidants. It's also very high in vitamin E, which is very good for your skin and overall immune boosting as well. So if you're thinking about a meal which is going to give you all these benefits, start including duck into your daily life, right? As you see, the meat is really cooking well. The flavors are getting intense. So we just leave this there for about 15 minutes and we get back to it again. Well, now let's get to the duck. As you see, the duck has been cooking for a while. You need to be cooking it so that the meat almost falls off the bone, alright? So as you see, the legs are really nice and cooked. I think at this stage, just increase the heat a little bit more. We'll be adding the most important ingredient, the black peppers for this dish. Be generous. As you see, the moment you add the black pepper into it, it starts getting that typical, the pepper roast color. And just want to add, I like it really hot. You would also notice that the fat has actually come up, not just from the fat that we've started the cooking with, but also a lot of fat has come out from the rendering of, because we've used the skin, so all the fat is rendered from the skin, and you see, that can actually be drained off. And for this particular dish, that fat really comes handy because you're going to actually stir this till, it's almost dry. As you see, the pepper, the black pepper, is giving out a fantastic aroma. What I'm going to do at this stage is I'm going to separate leg meat. Just want it to cool because I'm going to use that for the tacos. So I'll let that cool for a while. And as you see, the water is evaporating and the masala is actually cooking and it's making it a rich, dark color, and you know you're almost there. I like to add a few fresh curry leaves, not just for the color, but it also adds some freshness to it. And at this stage, I'm going to add a final ingredient, the coriander. Alright, again with coriander, chop only as much as you require. Don't chop it and keep it in the fridge. It loses its flavor. It's not just, don't treat coriander as a herb that's just used for color. It's a herb that's used for flavor as well. Alright, so chop it at the last minute possible and a couple of spoons. In fact, let's go with all of it right there. At this stage, you see the water has almost evaporated. Just a little masala, the rich masala. I'll switch off the heat because this is almost done.